Joining me now is Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House and Fox News contributor. Newt, Trump as Hitler, Trump as Stalin, Trump as whatever dictator comes to mind. That really is their campaign, along with the abortion fear-mongering, which they believe, to some success in the last election a few weeks ago. What do you anticipate happening here on out?
Well, I think the only thing I disagree with in your general explanation is that this is about their survival. I think that this is literally the behavior of an entire system which understands that it's on the verge of being destroyed. They're looking at what happened in Italy. They're looking at what just happened this last week in Argentina. There is a worldwide movement against left-wing, radical, socialist values. You look at Hungary. I mean, again and again, average, everyday people are saying, no, we don't want this. You look at the numbers for Trump right now, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think what you're seeing on the left is a desperation that's literally a survival function. We've never seen this, maybe the South in 1860, but other than that, we have never seen this level of desperation in American politics, and it's going to get worse. They have a candidate who's hopeless. I mean, if you watch Joe Biden, you know he's not going to win, and they can't get rid of him. They have a situation where their opponent is getting stronger and better and more disciplined, and I think that leads to a very explosive moment in American history.
But, Newt, don't you also see that their drive, this is bloodlust they seem to have with putting Trump in jail? I think they believe that's key to their survival, too. They have to put him in jail before this election because nothing else is working. The Hitler routine isn't working, obviously. Look, people are just laughing at that.
Well, and putting him in jail won't work either. But the problem they've got is, I don't know how it happened. I'm writing a series for the American Spectator. I have to confess, I'm not quite sure how we get to where we are today, because it's hard to understand how the modern left somehow went through this permutation, this almost mutant behavior, where they're now so radically isolated. They're losing African Americans, they're losing Latinos. In the most recent poll, they're losing young Americans, they're losing Asian Americans. I mean, all the groups they thought they could count on are thinking, these guys are nuts, and they're not going to vote for them. And they know they're nuts because of pain. Pain in terms of fentanyl and crime, pain in terms of the price of living, pain in terms of the number of immigrants crossing the border. Every time they turn around, they see an incompetent president who's clearly beyond his due date. I mean, a reasonable Democratic Party, if it still existed and it doesn't, would in fact insist that Joe Biden step down. There is no Democratic Party that can do that, and he's not going to step down. And if he did, they'd get Kamala Harris, because in their party, in their particular universe, you cannot defeat a black woman.
Well, Newt, I got to say, I've seen desperation before in politics, but what they're saying about Trump wanting to execute people, he's going to execute his political opponents. I mean, I think they've completely, I hate to say someone's lost his or her mind on another cable network, but I don't know how else you describe that. I mean, that's where they are. That's the Democrat. But what happened to hope and change? What happened to all the optimism that the Democrats offered?
Look, last week I was in a meeting with a formerly moderate Republican, very sophisticated, very nice guy, somebody I like personally. And as we talked about Trump, he became so totally demonically convinced that this is the end of his world. I mean, the language, I couldn't argue with him because the language was so emotional. It was like dealing with a person who was literally beyond self-control. And I think that's what you're seeing. That's 20 or 30% of the country now is in a mood of literally being out of touch with reality.
They're very
totally
unpleasant.
convinced they're right, and terrified.
Yeah, they're not pleasant people to be sitting around a Thanksgiving table with. So just hide all the sharp implements because they're very angry people. Newt, it's great to see you. Have a happy Thanksgiving, my friend, as always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.